I am glad to see you again. Last we spoke, I mentioned the gods of this realm. There were once thousands. Now there are fewer. What was once more than a battalion is diminished, not just in number, but strength as well. You may ask what divinity is. Divinity is not omnipotence. It is not mortality. It is not even immortality. Divinity is absolute authority over an aspect one has successfully bound oneself to. It sits adjacent to conceptuality, though it never quite becomes it. Divinity is competence. In the first three wars, the paths to divinity were as numerous as ambition itself. After the first war, three laws emerged. Only one was mine. First, the divine cannot dream. Second, the divine cannot share authority. Third, no mortal may look upon the divine. The latter two were inventions, elegant inventions that were a kind of veneer. A storyteller once wove them into doctrine. He did not know why law matters, only that law controls behavior. Because he did not understand the foundation, his ritual held no true weight. But belief does not require foundation. It requires repetition. The divine followed those laws, not because they were true, but because they were accepted. Only the first was immutable. The divine cannot dream. They never knew why. They assumed it arbitrary. It was not. All came from the third, and none but one could bind authority over the first or second. To dream would collapse that separation. So the first law existed. The others were scaffolding. They aided the construction, but they did not hold the structure up. The insects believed in all three, and belief was sufficient. Gods multiplied, authority fractured, concept overlapped concept. Unchecked divinity creates two things: chaos and stagnation. When too many beings hold absolute control over too many intersecting aspects, friction builds. Without lubrication, gears stop. The weight of heaven grew, and the blood of mortals became the lubricant that kept it turning. The house strained. Thus, the correction. The culling was not emotional. It was logistical. Numbers invoke divinity, because numbers invoke relationships. For my purposes, 6 was sufficient. 3 would remain hidden due to apathy. 3 would remain visible due to authority and deception. 3 would change from visible to invisible due to deception and corruption. The first 3 belong to reality. The next 3 belong to lucidity. The last 3 once belonged to mortality. At the end, after the 6th war, humanity would only remember the second 3. They called him the first god. He was not. He was the 4th. But history is yours to edit when you control the ink. Mendex Naren. He wove mountains and seas from word. Or so the churches proclaimed. He allowed it. His true mastery was not shaping stone nor tide. It was authorship. When he was mortal, he once told me a story. It was magnificent. It was grand. It was incorrect in all the ways that it needed to be. I gave him a portion of my power, the authority of narrative. He understood its weight. One of his more endearing qualities was his competency in understanding. He named himself God before he ascended. By the end of the First War, he made it reality. Only the dragons remembered him as mortal. The giants could have done the same, but they cared not to even try. He despised them for that. The giants' disregard and the dragon's remembrance were equal sins in his eyes. He encountered a dragon named Mishu Hamet in his early divinity. She was intelligent, she was capable, and she was unimpressed. She followed another. She believed in something not him. He altered his form to win her. Dragon, giant, warrior, human. He lied without effort. She saw through him without strain. Her imagination defeated his deception. That wounded him more deeply than defiance. So, he abandoned persuasion. He looked to the truest form of captivation. 5 dragons resisted him. 2 survived. 1 who revealed truth, and 1 who hid. Mishu lived. Later, she fought Floki, the giant champion. She bore him a son. Then, she died as warriors do. Mendex returned home, disappointment rewarding him for his effort. I was waiting, the mad god in a top hat. "You claim they were beneath you," I asked, chuckling to myself. "Why pursue them?" "Because I can," he said. "I am their god. None can triumph over me." I laughed, because it was small, because it was amusing. He left me, calling me mad. Mendex structured the world. He categorized myth. He bound narrative in doctrine. Governments adored him. Churches elevated him. He did not hoard stories. He curated them. It was necessary. Order always is. It stops the lubricant from being ground into a bloody paste in the gears. Where Mendex was praised through structure, Beshk was worshipped due to necessity. Beshk was he, she, they. Purpose dictated grammar. I called them the naive child. Others would call them the child. Calling a god naive would be unwise. They listened. To me, to mortals, to hunger, to harvest. They painted birth and storm, seed and constellation. Mendex was invoked weekly. Beshk was invoked daily. One day, by the sea, they noticed something. The ocean below resembled the one above. Like a child discovering reflection, she painted something not as deity, nor authority, but as wonder. The painting defied language. It took about 2 months, 60 days and 2 hours exactly, for precision is key. During that time, the mortals of the world knew what it was to live without Beshk. The mortals rejoiced when the 5th god came back to them. Beshk took her painting and showed it to me. It was static and alive. It was vibrant, yet the colors used were muted and changing. She smiled as they named it in front of me. The joy on their innocent face was beholden to their benevolent yet apathetic grin. They called it a god's dream. They were so proud of it. And when she finished showing it off to me, they set it down. Then they forgot it. He left it, his attention turning to other multitudes of worries that he could listen to. I did not. I took its echo, an echo that reminded me of what truly shaped this world. I gave it to a mortal artist. He spent one lifetime, then another chasing it. On his deathbed, I showed him what he had been seeking. He wept. He declared his life worth the longing. He died smiling. The world he imagined dissolved behind me. Was he wrong? I remember his face. He was happy. That is rarely accidental. Change enacted by another is sometimes the only kind that lasts. I went to visit the child after that. A unique experience because of my reclusive nature. The child greeted me eagerly and invited me into his home. I asked a simple question: what the painting meant to him. They answered, "What painting?" I dropped the point, understanding its feeble nature. Instead, I shifted my attention. I showed the child the paintings of the man who smiled. Her response was wonderful. "It is perfect." I handed her the memories of the man, along with the original painting. She thanked me for changing the meaning, and this time, she kept them. Mede Njulu was not adored. She was feared. She chose to walk beside death, so none would cross alone. Mortals prayed to Mendex. They begged Beshk. They avoided Mayday. But they always met her, and they knew her as kind. Once, she found a god bleeding, wounds self-inflicted. She cradled his head. "Why?" she asked. "For all your plans and machinations, why wound yourself so?" Blood filled my mouth when I answered. "One of my kin remains alone. To alleviate that void, I will create everything, love everything, then burn everything." Then I died. Years later, she watched the same god rise again, laughing. She was the first to say it plainly. "Do you not think there are too many of us?" That was the moment inevitability took place. She did not resist when I began. She kept each of them company as I unmade them. 6 survived. I permitted it. Not because they were innocent, because they were balanced. Story in order, life in change, death in mercy. The house could sustain that. They were the cast of an important script. After the Third War, the dragons recorded 6 gods. They were not wrong, they were incomplete. The visible 3 claimed primacy. History accepted it. Subterfuge and repetition erased the others. History is simply story told long enough to harden. Mendex knew that better than any of them. The insects had grown too numerous, the house strained, so I burned part of it down. Thousands became 9, 9 became 6, 6 became foundation. Culling is not cruelty, it is correction, and correction rarely asks for permission. You will hear the rest of their stories soon. Each war, each god, each necessary mistake. I told the sixth once I would burn everything, even what I love, if it serves the design. Love does not preclude sacrifice, it makes it meaningful. When next we speak of gods, we shall learn how 6 became 3. First, I have many more stories. Our next set of stories will take place in the sea. Know this, the sea is dangerous. Its abyss is so deep and dark that even gods fear to tread there. Imagination needed a space to confine the primordials it used to shape the world, and the sea was the perfect cage. It became one of the most entertaining adventures I ever had. It was given to me by a member of my family, after all. Silly me. I almost forgot. Good night, goodbye, and until next time.